Welcome to Blackwood Hill, a picturesque hill station nestled in the heart of America's wilderness. A group of friends, all seasoned travelers, embarked on a journey to explore this serene destination. Little did they know, their adventure would turn into a nightmare. The group consisted of 5 friends: Alex, Sarah, Jake, Emily, and Matt. They arrived at Blackwood Hill on a crisp autumn morning, eager to hike and explore the surrounding woods. As they ventured deeper into the woods, they stumbled upon an abandoned mine shaft. Despite the ominous warning signs, they decided to explore the mine, curiosity getting the better of them. It was then that strange things began to happen. Emily started feeling an intense, unsettling presence, as if someone was watching her. At first, the others dismissed it as mere paranoia, but soon, they too began to experience inexplicable occurrences. Doors would slam shut on their own, and disembodied voices whispered in the wind. The group tried to flee, but the mine seemed to shift and change, trapping them in a labyrinth of darkness. One by one, the group members began to vanish. Matt disappeared during a frantic search for a way out, and Jake was found dead, his body twisted in an unnatural pose. The remaining 3 friends stumbled out of the mine, traumatized and shaken. They thought they had escaped the horror, but the nightmare was far from over. Upon returning home, they were plagued by ghostly encounters. Doors would slam shut, and disembodied voices whispered in the dead of night. The 3 friends were consumed by fear, unable to shake off the feeling that they were being stalked by malevolent entities. Their lives became a living hell, as they struggled to cope with the trauma and terror they experienced on Blackwood Hill. The haunting continued, relentless and merciless, until the 3 friends were driven to the brink of madness. And so, the haunting of Blackwood Hill remains, a cautionary tale of the horrors that lurk in the darkest recesses of our world. The memories of that fateful trip continue to haunt the survivors, a reminder that some wounds never heal. Years went by, but the memories of that horrific trip never faded. Alex, Sarah, and Emily tried to move on with their lives, but the trauma they experienced on Blackwood Hill left an indelible mark. They became recluses, afraid to venture out into the world, fearing that the horrors they experienced would follow them. Their relationships crumbled, and they were left alone to face the demons that haunted them. And then, the strange occurrences started again. Doors would slam shut, and disembodied voices whispered in the dead of night. The 3 friends knew that they were being stalked by the same malevolent entities that haunted them on Blackwood Hill. Desperate for answers, they turned to paranormal investigators, hoping to uncover the truth behind the haunting. But the more they dug, the more they realized that some secrets were better left unspoken. The haunting continued, relentless and merciless. Alex, Sarah, and Emily were consumed by fear, unable to escape the terror that haunted them. And then, one by one, they vanished. Some say that on certain nights, when the moon is full and the wind is blowing through the trees, you can still hear the screams of Alex, Sarah, and Emily, echoing through the abandoned mine shaft on Blackwood Hill. The haunting of Blackwood Hill remains one of the most terrifying and unexplained paranormal cases in American history. And if you ever find yourself driving through those winding roads, beware of the darkness that lurks within. The locals avoid Blackwood Hill, whispering tales of the cursed mountain and the unspeakable horrors that lurk within. They say that on certain nights, when the moon is full and the wind is blowing through the trees, you can still hear the screams of the damned echoing through the abandoned mine shaft. But there are those who are drawn to the darkness, who feel an unholy allure to the horrors that haunt Blackwood Hill. They come seeking thrills, seeking chills, seeking to tempt the darkness that lurks within. And then, there are those who come seeking answers, seeking to uncover the truth behind the haunting, to understand the malevolent force that drives the terror. They come armed with cameras, with audio recorders, with a determination to uncover the secrets that lie within. But beware, for Blackwood Hill is not for the faint of heart. The darkness that lurks within is real, and it will consume you. It will drive you mad. It will haunt your dreams, and it will leave you screaming in terror. So, if you dare, come and explore the haunted hill. The road to Black Hollow Hill Station was serpentine, winding through dense, towering pines that whispered with the wind. The air was cold, thick with the scent of damp earth and something else, something unsettling. Michael Carter sat in the back seat of the cab, staring at the mist curling around the trees. His breath fogged up the window as he exhaled. The driver, an old man with deep wrinkles and wary eyes, hadn't spoken much since picking him up from the station. "You sure about this, mister?" the driver finally said, his voice gravelly. "Not many folks go up there anymore. Not after what happened." Michael turned to him, intrigued. "What happened?" The old man hesitated. Then, with a sigh, he said, "The disappearances. Strange things. People hearing voices in the mist. Seeing things that ain't there." Michael smirked. "Sounds like a ghost story." "Maybe it is." The driver met his gaze in the rearview mirror. "Or maybe it ain't." Michael dismissed the warning. He was here to finish his novel. A secluded, old inn on the hill seemed like the perfect place for inspiration. Besides, he didn't believe in ghost stories. As they reached the inn, the mist thickened, swallowing the building in an eerie embrace. The structure was old Victorian style with dark wood, intricate carvings, and windows like hollow eyes staring into the abyss. Michael checked in, the receptionist barely acknowledging him. The interior was grand but worn. Faded wallpaper, creaky wooden floors, and chandeliers caked with dust. His room was on the top floor. It smelled of old books and something metallic, something faintly like blood. He shook off the thought. That night, as he sat by the window, typing, he heard it. A whisper, faint, indistinct, coming from the mist outside. He shut his laptop and listened. Another whisper, closer now. He moved toward the window. A figure stood at the edge of the mist, barely visible. A woman, her dress billowed, though there was no wind. Then she vanished. Michael's heart pounded. A trick of the mist, he told himself. He closed the curtains and went to bed, but the whispers continued. The next few days, the unease grew. The mist never fully cleared. Shadows shifted when he wasn't looking. Objects in his room moved slightly, and at night, the whispering grew louder. One evening, he followed the whispers outside. The mist curled around him like fingers, chilling him to the bone. Then he saw her again, the woman, closer this time. "Who are you?" he whispered. She raised a hand, pointing behind him. He turned. The inn loomed behind him, but something was wrong. The windows weren't dark anymore. Faces stared from within, pale, hollow-eyed, watching. A scream tore through the night. Michael turned back, but the woman was gone. The whispers, however, were all around him now, rising into a chorus of voices, pleading, warning. Then he saw the truth. The inn wasn't abandoned. It never had been. He ran back inside, but the halls were different now. Endless, twisting. The doors led to places they shouldn't. And the people, no, the things that had been people, were waiting. The last thing Michael saw was the mist creeping into his room, carrying the whispers with it. Then silence. The next morning, the receptionist checked the guest book. Michael Carter's name was no longer there, just like all the others before him. The town below Black Hollow Hill had its own legends about the place. A curse, some said. Others believed it was a punishment for sins long forgotten. But none of them ventured near. A week after Michael vanished, another visitor arrived at the foot of the hill. A woman, her eyes heavy with worry. Emily Carter, his sister. She clutched a crumpled letter in her hands, the last thing he had sent her. "I think I found something," it read. Something waiting in the mist. Determined to find her brother, Emily checked into the same inn. The receptionist barely looked at her, sliding the key across the counter. That night, she heard the whispers too. And outside, in the mist, a shadow stood watching her window. The next morning, Emily set out into the mist. It swallowed the inn, leaving only vague outlines of trees and distant, shifting shadows. Her brother had come here for answers. She would not leave without them. She followed the whispers down the winding path behind the inn, the trees tightening around her like grasping fingers. The further she went, the colder it became. Frost coated the leaves. Her breath came in ragged gasps. Then, she saw it. An old well hidden in the overgrown thicket. The whispers surged, overlapping, urgent. Emily stepped closer, peering into the darkness below. A hand shot up from the void. She screamed, stumbling back as a figure dragged itself upward. A gaunt, hollow-eyed version of Michael. His skin paper-thin, stretched tight over his bones. Emily. His voice was raw, broken. Don't look. But it was too late. The mist shifted, revealing what lay beyond the well. An impossible expanse of twisted, writhing figures, mouths frozen in silent screams. Their bodies caught between this world and something far worse. The thing wearing Michael's face reached for her. Run, before it takes you too. Emily turned and fled, the whispers rising to a deafening wail. The mist chased her, curling at her heels, trying to drag her back. She burst through the inn's doors, gasping. The receptionist looked up with dead, indifferent eyes. "Checking out so soon?" he asked. Emily didn't answer. She ran, down the hill, through the trees, away from the voices calling her name. By the time she reached the town, the mist had swallowed Black Hollow Hill completely. The inn was gone.